I've chosen to research and present on Mary T. Barra. She's the current Chief Executive Officer at General Motors. Before I get into more detail about Mary, I want to give you an overview on General Motors. Previous CEOs with General Motors have been William Durant, the founder, Alfred Sloan, Charles Wilson, Harlow Curtis, James Roche, Richard Gerstenberg, Thomas Murphy, Roger B. Smith, Roger C. Stemple, John F. Smith Jr., Richard Wagner Jr., Frederick A. Fritz Henderson, Edward Whitaker Jr., and Dan Ackerson. And that brings us to Mary T. Barra. She's the highest ranking female in any automotive company in the world, making history, and she's GM's first female CEO. The company was founded by William Durant in 1902. Durant was a shrewd businessman who realized that the future lay in cars, not carriages. It was initially founded as a holding company for Buick. During the difficult years of the early 1900s, many motor companies were running on credit with various bankers. Durant had invested in companies who built smaller cars, car parts, and accessories. Durant then folded those companies into one entity, which was the true beginning of GM in 1908. By 1910, bankers had to step in to prevent financial collapse of GM, and Durant found himself out of the company that he had created. In 1911, GM had made enough advances in the international market that General Motors Export Company was established to handle all sales outside of the United States and Canada. By 1915, Durant managed to use another company that he created, Chevrolet, to come back into power with GM. During the 1915 through the 1920s, Cadillac was wildly successful. In 1918, GM bought the operating assets of Chevrolet Motors. Soon after, America was hit by a power recession and Durant found himself out of the company again. During the next decade, there was a financial boom and auto sales reached 4.5 million. GM now had a brilliant engineer at its helm, Alfred Sloan, who was later acclaimed for his marketing genius. There were three giants in the auto industry during that time. General Motors competed with their stylish cars, features, and comfort. They also introduced a path-breaking offer to purchase on credit, and they had 5 brands to choose from: Pontiac, Cadillac, Buick, Oldsmobile, and Chevrolet. Ford was a major player. They competed with best value for your money. It was said you can have any color you want as long as it's black. And Chrysler Plymouth with affordable luxury. The next 20 years at GM, in 1929, all expansion at GM stopped. Their stocks fell significantly due to the stock market crash of 1929. In the 1930s, GM purchased Yellow Bus Company as well as the Electromotive Corporation, which was an internal combustion engine railroad builder. American railroads were powered by GM's diesel locomotives, and the United Auto Workers Labor Union was formed at that time. 1955 was a landmark year for GM. They were the first company to make more than $1 billion in a year, and the Chevrolet Bel Air was the most popular car that year. Some quick facts about General Motors. They led global sales for 77 consecutive years from 1931 to 2007, longer than any other automaker. In 2008, 2009, and 2010, GM ranked as the second largest global automaker by sales, and in 2011, the company regained its position as the world's largest automaker by vehicle unit sales. There have been some controversies with GM. Labor practices. In 2012, GM workers in Colombia went on a hunger strike against deplorable working conditions. Their environmental record isn't as clean as you'd like to see. EPA received over $61 million from old GM for cleanup of sites in New Jersey, Maryland, and Missouri. And the latest of the recalls, GM has again made history with over 30 million cars recalled. 32 deaths to date due to the faulty ignition switch, with more than 1 million cars still on the road with the fatal defect. And GM has been said to be slow on repairs for recalled cars. Some have likened the culture of GM to a sinking ship. They have ingrained inefficiencies, lack of accountability and decisive action, and reactionary management decisions. Some have also said that GM lives and breathes establishment. There's a ton of red tape and long bureaucratic procedures, often at the cost of innocent lives. What some have said about how GM handles issues is first you need to organize a committee of certain people, then you need to hire a consultant, and lastly you talk about it for a year or more and do nothing. So the question is, can Mary Barra change GM's culture for the better? This is a company she's worked in for over 30 years. She was practically born and raised in this company as her father had worked at the Detroit plant. In this audio clip that I'm going to share, Mary is addressing a global town hall meeting.
I want to first take an opportunity to again express my deepest sympathy to the families that lost loved ones and to those who were injured. I realize there are no words of mine that can ease their grief or their pain. But as I lead through this crisis, I want everyone to know I am guided by two clear principles. First, we will do the right thing for those who were harmed. And second, we will accept responsibility for our mistakes and commit to doing everything within our power to make sure this never happens again. I can tell you this report is extremely thorough, brutally tough, and deeply troubling. For those of us who have dedicated our lives to this company, it is enormously painful to see our shortcomings laid out so vividly. As I read the report, I was deeply saddened and disturbed. It represents a fundamental failure to meet the basic needs of these customers. Our job is clear: to build high-quality, safe vehicles. In this case, with these vehicles, we simply didn't do our job. We failed these customers, and we must face up to it, and we must learn from it. What Volucas found in this situation was a pattern of incompetence and neglect. Repeatedly, individuals failed to disclose critical pieces of information that could have fundamentally changed the lives of those impacted by the faulty ignition switch. If this information had been disclosed, and I believe this in my heart, the company would have dealt with this situation much differently and appropriately. This should have never happened. It is unacceptable. Our customers need to know that they can count on our cars, our trucks, and most importantly, our word. Because of the actions of a few people and the willingness of others to condone bureaucratic processes that avoided accountability, we let these customers down. A number of personnel decisions. Some of these were tough calls. I'm sure you can appreciate this, and we held off making these until the investigation was complete. But with the facts before us, we felt it was important to make a number of changes, and we've already done so. 15 individuals who we determined to have acted inappropriately are no longer with the company. Consistent with our priority to do the right thing for those that were harmed, we will be implementing a compensation program for those who lost loved ones who have suffered serious injuries as a result of the ignition switch failure.
So as you can see, she's got a tough job ahead of her, but she was very honest and candid in dealing with the issues that are ahead of her. To give you a little background on Mary Barra, she started with GM in 1980 as an intern with the Pontiac Motor Division. She graduated from Kettering University, which is a GM university, with an engineering degree. In 1988, she was granted a GM fellowship to attend Stanford Graduate School of Business, where she earned her MBA. Yay! And she graduated in the top 10% of her class. She's held many roles at GM, various engineering and staff positions, including plant manager at DHAM. She was the executive assistant to Jack White and held the position of general director of internal communications. She's had several executive director positions. Competitive operations engineering and vehicle manufacturing engineering are two of those executive director positions. She was selected to be the vice president of global human resources because of her clear-cut communications style. She's also held the position of executive vice president of global product development and global purchasing and supply chain. On January 15, 2014, she was promoted to CEO of General Motors. She started as an intern and is now the CEO of General Motors. Since becoming CEO, they've recalled the largest number of vehicles in the history, over 30 million. She's testified twice before the U.S. Congressional Committee and has been grilled by politicians. She's also listened to the harrowing stories of victims' families. Mary's received many awards and recognition. Time magazine named her to its Time 100. Forbes magazine lists Barra as one of the world's most powerful women. Fortune magazine placed her on the top 50 most powerful women in business. Mary's also been named the 2014 Newsmaker of the Year by the Michigan Chronicle. Recently, she declined an award from the National Women's History Museum due to protests. She made the decision to ensure that the attendees could focus on recognizing the achievements of American women past and present. The museum stated that they would have moved forward with the award in spite of the protests because Mary is the first female CEO of a leading automaker. She has shattered the notion that the highest ranks of a traditionally male-dominated industry are reserved for men. Mary Barra has shown her agility by being highly successful in several key positions at GM. She has a proven track record of finding solutions to tough issues while inspiring others around her. She started as an intern, trained as an engineer, and worked her way through the company to make history and become the first female CEO of any automobile company. Mary Barra has a quiet leadership style. She's humble, collaborative, and eager to give credit to the team. She brings order in a chaotic world by rationalizing the product line, improving quality and efficiency, and better aligning the product with customer needs. She believes in building your own expanding hedgehog. Align your passion, your expertise, and demand economic reward for your hard work. She also believes it's important to never stop learning. Learning and development are keys to success, and to treat people with dignity and respect. Be genuine, caring, and authentic. Her other leadership qualities are her ability to communicate. As General Director of Internal Communications for GM North America, she was credited for transforming the company's communication department virtually overnight. The department had been crippled in the wake of a 50-day union strike, and her solution was simple: to ensure communication at GM was moving both ways on the ladder to stifle future meltdowns and pretty much stop issues before they materialized. Within 2 years, Barra introduced a clear-cut line of communication that was completely lateral. The board recognized her as a forward thinker and the power to turn things around at GM. She's honest and authentic. She's committed to solve deep underlying cultural problems uncovered in the report by Tony Valukas, who is an independent third-party investigator and also a former U.S. attorney. She's accountable. She brings data-oriented efficiency to GM, especially when she worked as in the HR department to help downsize during the 2009 bankruptcy. And she recently has met with victims' families and listened to their stories and formally apologized. That's pretty big. There have been a lot of CEOs in the past who faced debacles as big as this one or even bigger, and they've just stated that, they never apologized, and they also said things to the effect that they just want this to be over. She's looked at this problem head on and has dealt with it in a very authentic and honest way. GM employees are to contact her personally if they see that a problem is not being handled properly. Barra's vision for GM is to be the most valued automotive company in the world. She stated, "Some will say these ambitions are too bold, too aggressive. I don't think so. If we aren't here to win, to lead, to excel, why are we here? I want to win, not just get by or hold on, but to win." I think that's a pretty clear vision. Mary Barra has also stated that if you have a problem, you better solve it. And she definitely has some problems that she needs to solve at GM. She will manage the recall and the investigations, and she's decided to personally direct the recall effort. She'll need to revamp GM's bureaucratic culture and build on the company's rebound, all the while establishing and maintaining credibility as a leader. She definitely has the character, the concern, the competence, and the commitment to be a great leader at GM, but time will tell. In closing, here is a quote by Barra. She states that what I always say is, do every job you're in like you're going to do it for the rest of your life and demonstrate that ownership of it. I believe that she'll be successful at GM, but only time will tell. Here are the sources I used to complete this project. Thank you for listening to my presentation on Mary Barra. So it's official, you need to wake up after that presentation and to continue to celebrate our last day of this MBA journey. I'd like to personally send out a congratulations to each and every one of you for the hard work and effort you put forth to earn your MBA degree. Margaret, thank you so much for teaching us about change management and also being a part of the journey with us. Each and every one of you has a very special place in my heart, and I'm now sending you a virtual hug. Squeeze. I hope you felt it. Congratulations to everyone.